gotta make a video now? Okay. Hello, my YouTube friends! Animated overlays are kind of the first thing that a new streamer wants. Well, when you're just starting out, there's no cash in the budget to pay someone to create something for you. Luckily, it's pretty easy to do yourself for free. Today, I'm gonna show you how to create this simple animated overlay. It can be used for talking head scenes and even games if you wanted. But the main goal here is to show you how easy it is to create animated overlays so you can create whatever layout you want. We got a lot to get to, so you know what? Let's get to it! We're going to use DaVinci Resolve to create our overlays. Everything I'm gonna use is totally free. There is a link in the description down below so you can download it and install it and follow along with me. That is the best way to learn. Let's jump right in and build our overlay. All right, so here's what the finished product's gonna look like, and we're just using basic tools and some simple keyframes. So you're gonna learn how to do some transforms and some keyframes, and we're gonna have just an absolutely super cool, very simple overlay. And once you learn these simple tricks, well, you can make it look however you want. So what we're gonna do is create a new project. We'll just double click on this untitled. We're gonna go here to edit. And so the first thing we're gonna do is go up here to effects. Let's go ahead and create the titles first. In toolboxes, we've got a bunch of different stuff. We're gonna go to titles, and you can just mouse over these and see if they have any animation. When you scroll along them, it will show you any animation that's involved with the titles. And so you can just scroll down here. And most of this stuff is totally free, so anyone can use it. You can pick anything you want. Some of them have animation, some of them don't. Just because it says lower thirds doesn't mean you can't move the animation and put it wherever you want. So any of these can basically be used. And I don't think that any of these are behind any kind of paywall. So really, you can just choose whatever you want. So I'm gonna recreate what I already did because that's the one that we showed in the preview. So all I have to do is scroll and find the neon once again. And so here it is. It's called Neon Flicker. And all I have to do is just drag it down here. And we're going to go ahead and shrink down the audio because we're not going to use it. We're going to stretch out our timeline here a little bit. You don't want anything in your overlay to be too jarring and constantly just annoying people. So I recommend making these relatively long. So we're going to start out with 1 minute right here, and what I'm going to do is just put my playhead at the 1 minute mark and then just adjust the length. Once we select it, we'll just go up here, and what we're going to do is make our labels. So we'll do latest donation, and then all we have to do is go over here into settings. We zoom it out to make it the size we want, and we move the position to put it wherever we want it. Pretty simple stuff. Then we can just grab it down here, use the Alt key, drag it up, and then we go back into title, and we'll just change this to Super Chat, and then we go into settings, and we're just gonna move it over, and then we can grab it again, hold the Alt key, drag it up, and then we'll go and change this title to latest subscriber, and we can go over into settings and just move this over. So what I'm gonna do is adjust these so we can obviously see that our zoom is too big. We need it a little smaller than this. So we're just gonna adjust the sizes, and we want them all to be the same size. So we've got this at 380. We'll go over here, set this to 380, and we'll do this one at 0.380 and just get our positions the way we want them and all that fun stuff. So now we have our stream labels set up. I'm gonna create one more, and we're gonna call this one chat, stick it in position. There we go. So now basically when we click play, all of these are going to appear. They're going to do their thing. We have them set at a minute's length. So what I want to do is go ahead and make this a 4-minute thing. So what I'm going to do is just grab these, move this out 4 minutes like this. So now we know that our labels are going to animate every 4 minutes, right? So now what I'm going to do is just grab this one, hold the Alt key and drag it out here and put it here. And I'm going to stretch this for the full 4 minutes. Now you can see what's going to happen here when it restarts on this joint. It's going to redo this. I don't really want that. I want this to do it at the very beginning, and then that's it. So what I'm going to do is just drag this over like this. So we cut off that animation at the beginning, move it over here, and then drag this out. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this one. We're going to remove the animation, drag it over here. And that way each one of these is going to animate about every 4 minutes. Otherwise, it's just going to stay the same. So you can see latest subscriber. When we go across here, it doesn't disappear, it doesn't do anything. This is the point where our latest super chat is animating it. So now all 4 of them have their time to shine and draw in, but it's not too much of an annoying thing. It only happens every minute, and we get a little bit of subtle animation. So now that we've got our text all animated and laid out the way that we want it, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add those background flourishes and subtle animations in the back that make this stuff look really cool. So we're gonna go back into our effects, and this time we're gonna go to generators. And I like to use the simple ones, and it doesn't hurt that they're free. So this 4-color gradient is really easy to use. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in, and we're gonna go ahead and grab this and make it the entire 4-minute length of our thing here. So now we have our gradient. You can see it has 4 different colors. Now I don't super like a 4-color gradient, but that's okay. This is really easy to change. So what I'm gonna do is go with upper left, and we're just gonna go with black and click OK. Lower left, we can pick a color, we can pick that other same color, and boom, our entire left side is black. And let's do our right side with a subtle bluish color. Something like that's gonna work. And we'll just pick this, pick a color. We're gonna get the same color, and there we go. So now we've got a really nice faded color. So what I'm gonna do is just move this one over here. We're gonna grab these 4, we're gonna move them up 1, and we'll pull this one down here so it's underneath. We'll shrink this up. So now we have our gradient background. Obviously, we're going to change it up a little bit, but first thing we're going to do here is go into settings, and we just want to zoom this out, and we're going to use this rotation angle to see if we can zoom it out far enough that we don't see any edges. And we don't. There we go. So that's what we're looking for. We can reset this at 0, and then what we can do here is go all the way to the beginning, and we're going to set our rotation angle by clicking here, and then we're going to go all the way to the end of our broadcast, and we're gonna set another keyframe, which is gonna be 360. So now over the course of 4 minutes, that's gonna rotate. Now maybe you want it faster than that. What I would do is just go ahead and drag this down to a minute, and we're gonna move our playhead to here and select this, and we're gonna go ahead and move it 360. Make sure it adds 1. And now you're going to see it rotating. Then we just select it, Alt and drag, and then Alt and drag. So now it's going to make a full rotation every minute. And you'll see it looks much faster. Now what we can do is crop these. So what I'm going to do is just delete these 3 by cutting. And I'm going to crop them first and then lay them out. So what we want to do is we want to retain our image position when we do the crop. If we don't do that, let me show you what happens. First, we got to select our color gradient. Then we're going to crop the top all the way down. You can see that doesn't work because we're rotated. So if we select retain image position, then we can crop the top all the way down and put it right here. And now it will rotate, do all the things right within the confines of our crop. And we're just going to take the Alt, we're going to drag this out, drag this out, drag this out, and now boom, we've got our subtle rotation animation under our stream labels. I'm going to go ahead and grab all of this. We'll move it up again. And I'm going to pull another gradient down here. Zoom in a little bit so that I can stretch it out. And we'll also make this one a minute long. And let's go ahead and pick our colors. So we'll go over here into the generator. I think we'll do kind of the same colors. And there we go. And we're going to go into our settings, and let's go ahead and click retain image position, crop the left over our chat. So just decide how fat you want your chat to be. I think I'm going to go more like this, which is fine. That just means I'm going to have to adjust my location of my chat. So now we've got that done. What we want to do is, if we rotate, you can see we're going to have all kinds of problems. So we'll set that at 0, and then we're going to go into our zoom, and we'll just jack this up until we don't see any of that stuff. So there we go. And so there we go. Now we're going to set our rotation angle at 0, and it's the same deal. We'll go back to the first frame, set our keyframe for our rotation angle, go to the final frame of that, and we'll set it to 360. So now we're going to see the subtle rotation of both the bottom one and the top one. So it gives you that little bit of animation. And this happens over the period of a minute. So it's going to be very subtle. We're going to take this and we're going to move it here and here and here. So now we've got our boxes set up with our animation, but we want to kind of delineate these a little bit. Shockingly, I'm going to go back to the exact same tools because they work and they're easy. There's nothing complicated about any of this. We're just setting up very simple keyframes and basic stuff. So we're going to move this up another frame and we're going to use our 4-color gradient. And in this case, I'm going to drop it in here. We're going to go over and zoom in and we're going to just drag this out. And so now we've got our 4-color gradient again. It's all the way on the bottom. We might want to move it up or adjust what level each of these is on. And we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of space to move stuff around. So let's drag this up to, there we go. Now we can move some stuff around, make it a little bit easier. I want this gradient to be over top of the other two. So we're going to move that up like that. And let's just go ahead and move this down here. All right, so what are we going to do with this gradient? We're going to first change it up. So left color, we'll make that black. And I like this yellow color, so we're going to use that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is go into our settings and we're going to go back into cropping. And we want to retain that image position again. And we're going to crop the top all the way down to here. And we're going to crop the bottom all the way up to here. I like to make it kind of super, super thin. And just make it whatever you want it to be. Now we've got that squared away, and something cool happens when we use the rotation angle. We can see that it creates this kind of subtle moving. And I really kind of like that. I like how that works. Now we can adjust the zoom a little bit so that we don't get quite as strong of a weird thing happening there, but I really like it. In fact, you could theoretically remove the gradient altogether and just have it do that. But I think the gradient actually adds something to it, so I'm going to leave it in there. But this kind of allows us to create something that's going to bob back and forth. So we're going to set that to 0, right? And then what we're going to do is go to the beginning of our gradient. We're going to set our rotation angle. We're going to go to the end, and we're going to change our rotation angle once again, 360 degrees. And now when we go back to the beginning, we're going to see that as it moves across, we're going to get these lines kind of zipping in, zipping out. You've got the gradient. I just think that looks so subtly cool. It adds a little bit of movement. You can see sometimes it moves fast, sometimes it moves slow. To me, it seems about as random as it gets. And then when you add in all the flickering of the other stuff and how that works, it's just going to look really, really cool. So we're going to go ahead and take that. We're going to hold the Alt key and we're going to stretch this over like this, and there we go. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag it down here, and then what we're going to do is modify it just a little bit. So we're going to move those gradients back like that, and in this case what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the right and left crop. We want it to be right on the edge of our little chat here. And so we're going to do this. And we also want a bottom crop on this one because we don't want it going like this. So we're going to move a bottom crop up to about here. So now we've got the same kind of subtle animation going on this one. But in this particular case, I don't like how this really lines up with the other one. So I'm gonna change up the animation a little bit by going here. And what I'm gonna do is just stretch this so that it's a full 2 minutes, and I'm going to move this down here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate that by holding the Alt key and stretching it out. So now we're not going to have it all lined up. It's going to move a lot slower and be more subtle. Now you could change yours up in any way that you want to have it look how you want it. So now we've got the exact same one that I showed you guys in the intro. We've just created it, and we can add whatever we want, but it's just so ridiculously simple, and you can do all kinds of subtle animations. You can set your own colors. The text that I used could be modified, so if I didn't like the color, I could change the color, or I could change the text to any kind of different title that I want. There are so many different ones. This is how easy it is to just create simple animated overlays that people are going to really think are cool, because you know what, they are cool. Now the last piece that we need is to export it. So we're going to go to the little rocket ship over here, and it's going to bring us to the export piece, and we're going to do something a little bit different here. Now you're not going to have all of this stuff. I get it. I have all this stuff because, well, I have a paid version, but you don't have to worry. We're just going to have the custom export here, and we'll put our title here, overlay. Select where you want your overlay to go. Now we're going to come down here, and we can select some different stuff. We're going to keep QuickTime, and we're going to go with this codec, and we're going to use uncompressed. We're going to drop this down, and we're going to select BGRA 8-bit, and that's going to give us access to this export alpha right here. So there you go. Anybody's going to be able to do this even with the free version. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add it to the render queue, and we're going to render it out. Once you have it run, you're going to want to use another free tool. It's called the shutter encoder, and you just drag your overlay on here, and we're going to select as our function VP9, and then we're going to go over here to our advanced features, and we're going to select enable alpha channel. What this is going to do is just optimize the file for streaming in OBS, and we'll just click start function. Basically, it's just going to re-encode that file as a WebM, make it super easy for OBS to use. Once this is finished encoding, we're ready to go into OBS and make this work. All that's left is to set this up in OBS. But first, I work really hard to try to create content I think you're going to enjoy. And sometimes I hit, and sometimes I miss, but honestly, it's really hard to know for sure. And that's where you can really help me out. If this is the kind of video content that you like, give it a thumbs up. And if it's not your cup of tea, it is totally fine to give it a thumbs down. So thumbs up or thumbs down right now. Thank you very much. And let's get back to the video. Now setting this up in OBS is really easy. Let's jump right in. Okay, so I have two scenes in here. I've got my talking head scene and my game scene. We'll start in the talking head scene. I've got the move transition on just because it makes visuals a little more interesting, but it doesn't matter if you have that installed or not. I'm gonna go ahead and click the plus, and we're going to go to media source, and we'll just call this overlay and click OK. We'll go ahead and click browse, and we're just gonna browse to find the overlay that we just created. And then I'm going to go ahead and select it and click open. Now I created a shorter overlay just so you could see the animations and the loops and all that sort of stuff. I'm just going to click OK. Now I did put it on loop. That means it's going to play over and over again. And that's really all we have to do. So I'll click OK. And there is our overlay. Next, I'm going to click the plus, and we're going to go to video capture device. And I'm just going to call this cam. Click OK. And our camera comes right up, but we could select whichever one we want. I'm going to go down here to the bottom, use custom device for our microphone, and select the microphone that I want. Camlink Audio 1. There we go. So now we have our Camlink Audio. You can see our overlay doesn't have any audio. We can easily hide it by right-clicking on it and clicking hide so we don't see it, doesn't clutter anything up. And so all we have to do is move our camera below our overlay and resize it. We can make it whatever size we want and put it right there, and our overlay is all set up. So for the game overlay, all we have to do is click plus, and we could go to our video capture device, just add our camera right here, click OK. We'll go ahead and click the plus. We'll go to media sources, we'll add our overlay, and then what we're gonna do in this case, because this is game footage, is we'll just shrink this down here. We're gonna bring it up over our overlay, and we'll place it right in here, like that. There we go, looks pretty good. And then we just need to add our game In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just add a placeholder for a game. If you're looking for a instructional video on how to actually add games to your system, I've got plenty of those. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and add a video placeholder for our game, and we'll put it in here. We're going to center it up a little bit and move it below our overlay. And there we go. So now we've got game footage, we've got a game scene, and we've got a talking head scene. And you can see what the move transition does. It takes my camera and moves it from there into the other location in a nice smooth fashion. It just looks cool. It's really simple. Now the last piece of it would be the stream labels down there. And that's what's gonna list the names for your latest donation, latest subscriber, all that sort of stuff. And of course I have a video about that too that I'll link at the end. You may also obviously want to put your chat in over here. Another really simple process that I have videos on the channel explaining how to do. I told you it was easy. I would love to hear what sort of overlays you plan to create. So let me know about it down in the comments. And if you want to see how to add stream labels like the ones you see down below, you should check this video out right here. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.